The Rams and the Chargers complete their picks in the NFL draft, leaving Mel Kiper in a personal existential crisis. Meanwhile, Clayton Kershaw sets an all-time Dodgers record for strikeouts. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It is May 1st, 2022. I am broadcasting super early today because by the time 9 o'clock rolls around, when I normally drop a clip, I will be somewhere in the air flying back to the den of misery known as Omaha, Nebraska. I want to start off by thanking the new subscribers we got last night. We are a young channel, so we're happy for gabbing 69 subscribers. And yes, I mentioned 69 because I have the mentality of a 13-year-old. If you like the content we've been putting out for the last 2 months, by all means, clickety-clack the like button, clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. Because after all, we drop a new video between 9 and 10 a.m. The notifications bell lets you know when it's there. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment, for I am not perfect. Before we get to the main topic, we're going to review the draft, both for the Rams, the Chargers, and yes, USC and UCLA. But let's go to the scoreboard. Let's talk notes. Kershaw, 7 strikeouts. He's at 2,700 passing Don Sutton. However, Detroit beats the Dodgers 5-1. Meanwhile, RSL defeats the Galaxy 1-0 in MLS. Today, Detroit and the Dodgers will play. They'll wrap up their series this afternoon. And LAFC will face Minnesota United. Quick note on Kershaw. At 2,700, you might sit there and you go, okay, well, what's the record? That's Walter Johnson at 3,509. I don't expect that, but there's only 4 pitchers with 3,000 strikeouts. Yeah, I think he can get there. Truly rarefied air for an all-time great. More Dodgers notes. What is Trevor Bauer's next step if his appeal to his suspension doesn't go through? Well, he can get a grievance, aside from suing, of course. He could get a grievance with an arbitrator. The arbitrator can only be fired if both the league and the players' union agree. By the way, there's no automatic stay in suspension for domestic violence, unlike, say, physically enhancing drugs. Now, Bauer will be 33 when he's eligible to pitch again. That means he wouldn't have pitched professionally in 3 full years. So does he actually come back? Can he come back and excel? The Lakers have gotten permission now to interview Bucks assistant Darvin Ham for their open head coaching position. Mark Stein is also reporting there is serious interest in paying Quinn Snyder, paying him handsomely, paying the Jazz handsomely. After all, Quinn Snyder currently coaches the Jazz. USC and UCLA notes. Today is not just a day for all of us to pay our rent. Today is the last day for those players, for those programs to enter the NCAA's football transfer portal. So expect news for both USC and UCLA by this time tomorrow. The Rams have traded for cornerback Troy Hill, I should say. They traded a 5th-round pick to Cleveland to get him. A 5th-round pick is from next year's draft. Hill was a Ram. He left LA as a free agent in 2021. That's going to make for an awkward little reunion. Hey guys, what happened since I left? Oh, nothing much. So I want to start off by talking about the Rams in a holistic sense, at least. I think they addressed a lot of their needs methodically, except they didn't get a tight end, they didn't get a punter. I could pretty much live with that, pretty much. We referred their picks for both them and the Chargers from rounds 1 through 3, so we're going to pick it up from the 4th round. They grabbed 4 defensive backs. They want depth there. They grabbed a running back, a tackle, and a defensive end. Now, the ones that I considered to contribute right away, I think Jacoby Durant, their 4th-round pick out of South Carolina State. Look, he's going to have a steep learning curve from what I've been reading about him. But ESPN thought highly enough of him to think of him as a potential replacement for Darius Williams. You know, Williams left the team in free agency. That, however, was before the trade for Troy Hill. So no, I anticipate this guy being a nickelback. Fifth round, they traded with the Raiders. They sent 2 picks to Vegas to trade up and get Kyron Williams, a running back from Notre Dame. He is not going to be a replacement for Cam Akers or anything like that. He is certainly going to complement him. He fits the system very well. He's not speedy, but he is a useful receiver. He's certainly willing to pass block, which is essential because you need to get Matthew Stafford every second you can because the Rams like to throw vertically. This also tells, somebody had recently asked me if the Rams are going to sign Sony Michel. I think the draft pick of Kyron Williams more or less answers the question. The Rams also chose somebody from UCLA, a safety, Quentin Lake. I think there are 2 safeties in the Rams, in the final year of their contract. So Quentin Lake, he's not going to get a lot of time this year. He's an insurance policy if those safeties leave. The rest of the guys are depth picks. However, having said that, while I don't necessarily expect a whole heck of a lot from Deron Kendrick of Georgia, a cornerback, while I don't necessarily expect a lot from Kansas State safety Russell Yeast, I do have a feeling that defensive end Daniel Hardy of Montana State has a shot, a real shot of being productive. They need depth at edge rusher opposite Floyd Hill. You recall the Rams lost Von Miller in free agency. Now, I'm not trying to tell you this is the next Von Miller. What I am saying is that he's got a chance to compete with 3 other guys. High developmental potential for this guy, opposite Leonard Floyd. So let's go over to the Chargers. What did they get? What did they need? Now, the Chargers did not fill as many needs as I thought they should have. Okay, I thought they needed edge rushers to buttress Bosa and Mack. Now you might say, wait a second, we have Nick Bosa, we have Khalil Mack. Why would we need more? The answer is, what if them get injured? About 2-3 years ago, Bosa got injured, and that ended the Chargers season like that. It did. Meanwhile, Khalil Mack only played 7 games last year. Look, both of them stay healthy. They're going to be a holy terror. Either one of them gets hurt, you want somebody to step in. It would have been nice to see them get an inside linebacker or 2, maybe a tight end. They did, however, get successful, and of course a right tackle, but we already talked about that the last couple of days. I thought the lineman they did get was an ideal selection. But they still need the edge rushers, as I said. So they were successful on the offensive line, successful on the cornerbacks. It's not a perfect draft. It's a decent draft from where I'm looking. Yesterday, day 3, they also drafted let's count it. They drafted 2 defensive backs. They drafted 2 running backs. That was strange. One of them was a fullback. Why would you draft a fullback in this day and age? In addition to that, they get a guard, possibly a role filler on the offensive line. Their first pick, however, for day 3, Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M. I like it too. He's not... Okay, I was talking yesterday about how the Chargers would want somebody who fills a lot of roles as running back. This guy does it all. He runs, he receives. He led the SEC in rushing since 2019. He had 2,993 rushing yards. So as a rusher, as a receiver, he does it all. I would call him the next Darren Sproles. The problem is Darren Sproles had a lot more speed than this guy. Forgive me, I don't summon the cough. The cough summons us all. 5th round pick I really love because honestly I called it yesterday. Otito Ogbonnia of UCLA, a defensive lineman. This guy fits the scheme for the Chargers ideally. He eats up a lot of space. He will line up directly over the opposing center. He'll take on 2 to 3 blockers, and just from that alone, he will enable the linebackers and other people to come in and make the plays. He's not going to be an all-pro because nobody's going to see the impact that he makes. He's going to involve so many other people on the opponents that's going to help the Chargers defense run. The other guys, however, I have to tell you, Slayer, a guard from Georgia, Jasir Taylor, the cornerback from Wake Forest, Dean Leonard from Ole Miss. I'm looking at special teamers there, role players. I don't want to dismiss them. I'm certainly willing to be wrong, but I don't necessarily look at them and say to myself, okay, these guys are going to make a big impact. Looking over to the colleges, I mentioned earlier that 2 UCLA Bruins were taken yesterday. There was one from USC. That would be running back Keontae Ingram. He was taken by Arizona. I like the fit. USC ran an air raid offense. Arizona runs an air raid offense. He may not be a starter, but he can definitely step in, know what the hell's going on, and contribute. Meanwhile, for UCLA, 2 other players were taken yesterday. That was Kyle Phillips. He's a wide receiver. He's not great athleticism, but you saw him enough. He runs good routes. He always gets open with the way he uses his positioning, jukes, stuff like that. He's taken by the Tennessee Titans. A confusing pick to me, Britton Brown, a running back, was taken by Las Vegas. I had no idea. I was very skeptical that guy was going to get taken. I'm sorry, he just did. So at the end of the draft, I'm reading Mel Kiper's draft grades per team, and he begrudgingly gives the Rams and the Chargers a B-. Now, if you're a draft analyst, if a draft analyst that you follow gives your team anything less than an A, rest assured that he thought your draft sucked, that it was garbage. Mel Kiper only gave 2 teams a grade lower than B-. But on the other hand, you should still be of good cheer, because those 2 teams were the Cowboys and the Patriots. Each of them got a C+. Forgive the stumble there. Anyway, Kiper now, because of this, he finds himself, I can tell by reading it, he finds himself in this like existential crisis reviewing the Rams and the Chargers drafts. It's like reading Mel Kiper's review of those drafts is like reading a 3rd grader's interpretation of Jean-Paul Sartre's Being and Nothingness. That's how much of a problem, how much he was questioning himself. It's like Mel Kiper was sitting there alone with his thoughts in front of his makeup mirror like Diana Ross in Mahogany, wondering, what does it all mean? I don't understand. And so he brushes aside a tear and he writes about the Rams. So how exactly do I grade this one? It's tough to fill needs when the prospects you're picking are likely to be backups. And later he writes, well, if Bruss does wind up winning a starting job, the Rams would probably consider this draft a win. Therein lies the rub. Mel Kiper doesn't understand that most of these young men that I've mentioned today, they will contribute, that they're not going to be backups. It's not that he hates the Rams, he just doesn't understand how the Rams build their team. Mel Kiper grew up with a belief that we've all been told ever since we started watching football. If you have an NFL team, you've got to build it through the draft. You have to build it through the draft. Well, the Rams broke that mold. They found another way to build a team. They thought outside the box. They created their own way of building a team, and it worked. And of course, the Chargers, to an extent, are following that, as are other teams. Many first rounders were swapped prior to the draft for established stars, just like the Rams did. So you have to ask yourself this question. What happens to Mel Kiper's job, to his standing, to his entire reason for living as a draft analyst? What is his purpose when so many teams are asking themselves if they should F those picks? Right? The Rams don't use their picks to unearth superstars, which is, so many other teams used to do. They don't use it to unearth superstars because they already have superstars. They pay handsomely for their superstars. What they do is similar to what Pittsburgh used to do for many, many years. The Steelers didn't get enamored of a big name in college to be a superstar. They sought specific types of players to fit their schemes. The Rams do that now. They find players that supplement Aaron Donald, that supplement Jalen Ramsey. They're not trying to find another Aaron Donald or Jalen Ramsey. They already have those players. So that's why those players that they picked are expected to contribute right away. So what do I think of the Rams picks overall? I think they knew they had needs and they methodically did what they could to fill them. I don't see Pro Bowls in the future of the players the Rams took. I see playoff berths in the players that the Rams took. There's a big difference. When you play for Montana State, as that one defensive end did, you will take playoff berths. So of all the needs the Rams had, like I said, they didn't get for a tight end or a punter, and I can live with that. I would also say their draft for the Rams was better than the Chargers, but of the role players that the Chargers took, I see Spiller and Ogbonnia playing important roles. Therefore, I think on that level, it's probably a success. I just like the Rams draft a little bit better. Decades ago, Mel Kiper made his career when he clowned the Indianapolis Colts draft selections, and he claimed that their mistakes are why they'll always be at the top of the draft. The Rams and the Chargers are not drafting the way Mel Kiper sees things, and they are not going to be at the top of the draft. And that's specifically, like I said, they do not see things in a way that fits into the ESPN prism. As for the colleges, as for UCLA and UCLA and USC, did you know that half the teams in the Pac-12 didn't have a single draft pick yesterday? That included Stanford, which was once a haven to locate tough and intelligent players. So all I'm going to say about UCLA and all I'm going to say about USC is this. It is becoming more imperative that the LA schools lead the way when it comes to leading the Pac-12 back to national prominence. For the record, the final score of LA Collegians taken in the draft, UCLA 6, USC 3. Therefore, Chip Kelly has a path to create for players to get to the NFL. It's your move, Coach Riley. Your move. Now, if you enjoyed today's broadcast, thank you. We invite you to subscribe and like these videos, notification bell to let you know when the new ones are coming out. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Have a great day. Bye-bye.